serious. He's no silly kid. Let me, if you think you had a tough time waiting, his mom and dad and his sister and family and friends and relatives and neighbors had an extremely tough time. He had a tough time too. One of the reasons he had a tough time is he's going to find his family, mom and dad and his sister. We're not going to abuse him and make him stand here for very long time, but he did want to thank everybody. I'm going to try to relieve him of some of the obligation that he told me he feels. Thank a number of people first. Ask him just a moment to do that. First, we want to thank the American people for all of their support, and thoughts, and prayers, and well wishes. I want to thank specifically Barack Obama, the President of the United States, who from the very first moment took a personal interest in this case and directed his cabinet to do everything that they could to assure the release of this young man. Secretary Gates is first, one of the last things he did. Secretary Panetta, as you know, Secretary Clinton and the State Department were on this from the very beginning. The other negotiators, brilliant in the way they handle things. The U.S. ambassadors, several capitals were great, specifically Dan Shapiro, our ambassador to Israel, and Ann Patterson, our ambassador to Egypt. Special thanks to the Egyptian ambassador, Ambassador Shukri in Washington, Israel's ambassador Mike Oren in Washington, people who I've been on the phone with continuously, who've been very, very helpful. I want to point out specifically and especially the members of the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces of Egypt, who under tumultuous circumstances and despite the fact that they mistakenly picked up and arrested this young man and put him in jail for almost half a year, negotiated at that point in good faith, and were very respectful of his person, and treated him in a way that we could have hoped for at our best. I want to thank Field Marshal Natawa, who is the virtual leader of Egypt at this moment, and specifically Major General Al-Assad, who has been my constant phone mate throughout this whole thing. When Danny and Irene asked if there was any possibility that they could see him, negotiated, discussed, and was back to me within 12 hours. And he said we want to make others happy. As soon as he said the plural, I knew we had a deal. The rest was a lot of hard work by a lot of people. I don't want to forget and leave out, believe it or not, the last people we saw before stepping up to the podium. The staff and the crew, the flight crew, Delta Airlines. Our plane had a mechanical problem at the very end of this whole ordeal and wait. The last minutes, you only experienced a few of them. We were supposed to leave a long time ago. Midnight, Israel. 11-hour flight. Developed mechanical problems. Couldn't fix it. After a while, we all disembarked from the plane. It was our luggage. Some of the stewardesses left and went home. The rest of them were waiting to see if something would happen. They finally got the plane fixed. It was past 2 a.m. in the morning. Flight curfew. Can't leave Israel. 2 hours. Everybody who remained on that crew had a right to go home. And they decided to stay. They took a vote. The crew and the stewardesses took a vote. They went behind the security door. We were on the outside of there. Had a whole discussion. And to together with the leadership, those young ladies and young men decided they would make up all of the work for whoever had left. And they said they wanted to get this young man home. That's what this country's all about. So we're a couple of minutes late because all these young women, especially ones that took it. Not that he didn't pay it before, but he paid his dues. Yeah. Let me tell you for 1 minute who this young man is. I met Ilan Grapel 10 years ago. He came to work for me in my office as a young teenage intern. He was wonderful. Did everything he could. He had goals and hopes and ambitions, and he still has them. We had a nickname for him. It's behind his back. I called him the Tikkun Olam Kid. If you need the translation, that means, what's the exact translation? To heal the world. To heal the world. It's the, why can't we all just get along, kid? Why can't people talk out their differences? He went to Bronx High School of Science, graduated, went to Johns Hopkins University for 3.5 years and graduated in record time. Went to Emory.
I'm still in Emory.
He's going back to Emory. Second year law school, he interned for the Israel Project one summer, interned for a member of the Israeli Supreme Court, learned Hebrew and Arabic, joined the Israeli army as his duty as an Israeli citizen as well as an American citizen. And when the Israelis negotiated the deal to free and redeem their hostages, they liberated our citizen as well. And for that we owe Bibi Netanyahu a tremendous debt of credit. I went to Israel after his capture, met personally in private with the Prime Minister, and he assured me he would do everything possible to spare nothing to get this young man back. And he kept his word.
Could you just...
So he joined the Israeli Armed Forces, fought against terrorists, the Israeli paratroopers, was wounded, spilled blood in the war against terrorism. And as his law school project decided he was going to go to Cairo with a non-government organization to donate his time to do yet another good thing, to try to help relocate refugees from Sudan that were stuck in Egypt. And as they say, no good deed goes unpunished. He stayed at a youth hospital, which brings up the question that I'm going to answer, so you don't have to do a time limit. What were you doing there? No. That's a rhetorical question. The youth hostel that he stayed at was right at Tahrir Square, where the demonstrations were going on. The demonstrations took place on Fridays. As any red-blooded American or young teenager, anybody with a sense of social justice might do, he wanted to see what was going on. He's the kind of kid, if he wasn't in jail for the last 4.5 months, might have been at Zuccotti Park talking about social justice issues. He might have been, if he wasn't in jail, in the streets of Israel with 300 or 400 other people talking about social justice issues with young people, people who wanted equity and equality in society. So although I was shocked, I wasn't surprised when I heard that he was there, because that's who he is. But what people don't realize is the time that he was there, things were happening over which nobody had control. Somebody hands you a sign. They got street hustlers there, like everywhere else. They hand them a sign, and protest things, and then they charge Americans $1. Take your picks. It's like what I did with the Ronald Reagan cutout when I was a kid. And then they used that to make charges against him that he was a spy. They had the perfect profile. He came there as an American to help, with an American passport. They discovered